The truth is, I plan to dishonor you all. The full scale of this dishonor will not be shown until it's begun. I'll try and keep this brief. Okay, so I run a really poorly produced YouTube channel called CD Location, where I just rant and rave about Netrunner. I'm gonna do the same thing for Legend of the Five Rings. I've never played any Legend of the Five Rings before. My interaction with it has been very brief so far. I've only just started reading about it now. I also bought these two decks, which I have no idea how to play, because I've watched the video on how to play, so my understanding is very limited. I got Rise of the Shogun Mantis Clan deck, and I got Rise of the Shogun Phoenix Clan deck, and I'm sure they are horrible to play with, and they're not the kind of thing that you want to start with or anything like that. But I got them, I've been playing with them, and I don't think I get the game at all currently, so I'm probably missing a lot. Either way, why this video? This video is about my experience with FFG games, which are excellent, and they are going to do their L5R community justice, I'm sure. Maybe you won't get everything you want, but you'll get most of it. Now, I've been watching them over the past over 3 games. These 3 games are Game of Thrones, Conquest, and Netrunner, and some patterns have emerged. So I have here some original Netrunner cards before Fantasy Flight took over. There's some text here that I want you to see, so let's just take this first one here. So let's take the Skullcap card, for example. So it's got a title, it's got a cost on the other side of 0, it's a program type, and it's got 1 MU. And basically prevents any amount of damage. This is a copy of a card called Deus Ex, and the Deus Ex version is much stronger. There is some difference, however. If you look at Netrunner cards nowadays, specifically of the program type, let's take Data Sucker, for example. You have, again, the cost, it's just changed sides here. The name is now in the middle, and the MU cost is that small little one next to that big black circle one. The types and text are also much more cleanly laid out. They've also added an influence cost. Influence is how you splash it out of faction. The original Netrunner did not have factions. So, just to give you an idea that, all in all, the templating of the cards won't change, will not likely change a great deal. You'll likely be very, very close. And if you wanted to, you could convert old cards to work with the newer cards, although, you know, the balance would all be off and it would all be horrible, but technically you could if you really, really wanted to. Let's have a look now at Game of Thrones. If we look at the first iteration here, we see that it's got a coin cost, name, a strength in the middle, and icons that are used for what challenges they can be used in, as well as an ability in the middle. Now, if we look at the latest ones, they follow pretty much the same formula. Cost at the top there, okay, but there's titles in the middle. The power icons have been moved around, but in all, it's got a strength, and now it's got a clear indication of which faction it can be in. and it's got a little banner underneath the one called Cersei Lannister, indicating that it's only in that faction, it can't be traded out into another faction. So all in all, you could technically use the first iteration cards with second iteration cards, but again, you could translate them if you really truly wanted to. Now, so what this means is that if you were to take some original L5R cards, I'm quite sure you'll be able to translate them over. Although there'd be some difference in templating. Now, again, there's been some talk here about how many factions there'll be. Now, the Conquest example has been used, and I agree with it. I highly doubt that we will get all the factions at once. They will choose some base factions. The question is, what will these factions be based on? That's what I'm going to tell you now. There will be an inevitable combo faction. This faction's main trait will be just to gain strength. In the case of Conquest, I believe that to be the Astra Militarum. They mostly just, they're weenies that get big on certain situations. And that's all their power is. They just get big in certain situations. And I guess they're the combo faction, although I will admit, in the case of Conquest, that they have an faction that tends to do everything. They get economy, they get combo, they get big, they get instant kill, they get everything, and that's the Space Marines. So I will get worried. I am kind of worried about that. But there is, in general, there is always the combo faction. In the case of Game of Thrones, that's Tyrell, the Tyrell faction, which is one of the native factions. In the case of Netrunner, that's the Wayland faction, which has all these combo cards. So that's one faction. There'll be the, how do I say, the straightforward rush faction. In the case of Conquest, that's the Space Marines, because they can do everything. Tau is kind of rushy. And in the case of Netrunner, that is NBM. They're rushy, and Criminal, they're kind of early burst rushy. So I don't know which faction does rush in L5R, but there's also going to be that faction. So get big in combo, rush. There'll be the inevitable faction which does not actually play the game traditionally. So in the case of L5R, this might be the faction that just focuses on honor, or there's actually going to be a faction that most likely will focus on getting the 5 rings. Now, this faction will most likely be underpowered. It was underpowered in factions that were underpowered in Conquest. In that case of just actually no, to tell you the truth, tell a lie. The faction that does all the damage directly to the hand was quite strong in Conquest. In Corset, it's Jinteki, not as strong. And then on the runner side it was Anarch, not as strong. But they tend to up the power level of this faction after the first 1 or 2 expansions, and they become so powerful that there's nowhere to rein them back in. And I don't want that to happen in L5R. It's always some faction which starts off really weak, they overcompensate and becomes far too powerful, and they add in all this recursion. Speaking of which, the recursion faction in Netrunner is HB. The recursion faction in Game of Thrones is this one, which the Greyjoy. Although the recursion does seem to be quite monitored right now, and it does have a built-in anti what's it called? It does have a built-in anti-recursion in the form of death. So Game of Thrones seems to have escaped that. In the case of Conquest, it's the Necrons. They just recur stuff. Recursion hell there. Just recur and recur. And in this case, Anarch here became the recursion faction for Runner, and there's no putting that genie back in that bottle. HB's got some limited recursion, although now people complain that it's got too much recursion. So I don't know which is going to be a recursion faction in L5R, but watch out for that. Once recursion starts, it's so hard to put back into the bottle. They need to monitor recursion. Damn. So much pain and suffering. Either way, I just wanted to warn you all. L5R is going to be great. It's going to be great when it comes out. There's going to be some purposely put imbalance. I don't know who's going to be made purposely strong. There are going to be some strong cards, but they're going to be strong on purpose, and I don't know which faction is going to benefit from it the most. But just watch out for the weakest faction. Soon they're going to get too many cards, they're going to get some recursion, and then there's going to be no putting the genie back in that bottle. This has just been me just spinning stuff off the top of my head. What I'd like to hear from you is just tell me about the game. I've been watching videos. I'm not going to try to learn to play traditional L5R right yet, because I want to see where the FFG take is and come in purely on that. I find that it's best. For me at least. Personally, I'm going to be trying to play the weakest faction. It's what I do. It's a horrible habit. I might even try and focus on decks that just get all 5 rings. Knowing the combo faction, that would be the... Well, actually, the combo faction could work in that instance then, if that's a win condition. In which case, I'll be trying to go for the giving your opponent Dishonor path. See how that goes. Hopefully they'll get all 3 win conditions in. That would be awesome. Goodbye.